Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard. I am here with Glen Willis and Tyler Jones on a Tuesday night after the Hawks defeated the Washington Wizards at home, and Jonathan Kuminga made his Hawks debut. Glen, what did you think of Kuminga's first game?
Well, they're playing a young team that's was a little easy, but I think this was a great game to kind of let him fill out scheme, plays, system, all that sort of stuff tonight. And but I thought he applied his athleticism in a way that made a difference in the game. And he seemed to enjoy himself. He's smiling and was seemed to be in good spirit. So hopefully, just kind of a good start that has him feeling good about how he can help his team.
Uh, Tyler, the bench feels a little bit different than it did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where the first three players off the bench are now Gabe Vincent, Jonathan Kuminga, Zachary Rizashe. How does that group feel as a collective to you when you saw it out there?
I mean, I thought it looked pretty good. Just primarily because of their defense, they're able to maintain their defensive structure through the length and athleticism they're playing with now, combined with, Gabe Vincent at the point of attack. It's good to see that Gabe seems to be in the rotation now. I thought he should have always been in the rotation, so it's good that he's finally there. But yeah, no, I mean, it looked great. I just thought overall, just in general, Kaminga's I mean, it's simple, but Kuminga's ability to drive and finish at the rim, I thought really took pressure off of basically everybody else he was sharing the floor with, and that's an element this Hawks team hasn't had, and like I think he's going to be really devastating on second units if that's the route they decide to go, or even if they start him. We'll see. What they do after Kuminga's off this minutes restriction.
How much of what they did on defense was them sort of doing the right things versus the Wizards being, I don't know, mildly disastrous? It felt like they had like a 50% pass completion rate on the night anytime they threw any pass that was non-trivial.
They're young, inexperienced, and they have ball handlers that don't have a ton of experience at playing I don't know, even average NBA defenses and kind of dealing with ball pressure. I mean, I love that Gabe Vincent played tonight a lot again. I think that's the direction Quinn needs to go. But it was I mean they're young, so they're mistake prone. The Wizards are mistake prone, and that's kind of a normal thing. I like a lot of young players they have on their team, but they're 2 years away from those guys kind of growing into roles where they're playing with more stability and consistency, and that should be expected for where the roster is now. Their roster is very young. Sarr's really good. I mean, when he's out, they don't have really much at the five or the four, depending on what position you view him playing. But I love the reset that they're doing in Washington for them to go young. It'd be interesting to see how Trey and AD kind of eventually show up whenever they do or don't show up. It'd be interesting to see the timing of that and how they navigate that. So, yeah.
Tyler, what did you think of Kuminga's debut? I sort of shifted right away to you on the bench, but what did you just think of sort of Kuminga individually?
I mean, he looked good. Looked healthy out there, and he provided what I thought he was going to provide for the Hawks. Just some strength. Like you see the strength element a couple times where, like, it's tough for smaller defenders to even pressure him because he's able to just physically go through them. And so, like, I really do believe like this is a great situation for him. The type of offense the Hawks run, there's a wide open lane for him to score as many points as he wants. And if he's going to defend it like this on a nightly basis, like, he's just going to be a very good player for the Hawks. So, like, overall, I just think I think he was happy to be out there. I think he was happy to just play some basketball and not you know talked about this on Lockdown Hawks, but that was a tough situation with Golden State that he was in. I don't think they were, like, regardless of his attitude maybe not being what Kerr won it. I just don't think for either party like they handled like I don't think Kerr handled it, as a professional should be able to handle situations like that. And then I also think the front office just in general just let Kuminga down. Like I feel I put a lot of blame on them just you know, not understanding that if you're going to trade for Jimmy Butler, then you got to move on from Kuminga. Like it can't be both, particularly based on the way they play basketball. But I mean, he's a talented player, and so let's hopefully he can continue this form because they're going to need him, especially depending on what's going on with Jalen right now.
When you say particularly how they play basketball, like how different is what Golden State does compared to what the Hawks are trying to do on offense?
I mean, with Golden State, it's just like everything is Curry first, right? And so like the entire system is you got to find Curry, you got to find Curry, you got to find Curry. Combined with the state of their roster, they really don't have that much shooting outside of Steph Curry as well. And so like they don't have that much shooting. They really don't even have that much passing. And so their offense is kind of very one player oriented. And I think it put too much pressure on Kuminga on should I drive or should I pass? Should I look to score? Combined with there's no spacing. Now with the Hawks, there's always a spacing center. The Dyson might not be able to shoot, but he's a real like playmaker, ball handler type. He'll get you into good spots. And like it's a simple read and react offense. Like if you have a lane, take it. If you don't, we're gonna run random DHOs until we get a matchup that we want, get a switch we want, and then attack. Like I think this is a very simplified approach, helped by the fact that the Hawks have a lot of wings and forwards that he's playing with. Whereas with Golden State, it's a lot of guards uh, that are on that team. I think the roster balance on this Hawks team is going to help them as well. Kind of find a group, but I just think the two Golden State's too like Curry oriented. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. I get it, but like it's a consistent theme that they're young. Like Kuminga should have been a certified good starter for their team for multiple years now. Like he has the tools on both ends. It's just bizarre that the he was not able. Kerr wasn't able to make his particular game work. To me, that more signifies that maybe their offense is a little outdated because like the Hawks desperately needed somebody who could just drive to the rim and finish. I do think another factor is like Draymond's such a focal point of that team, and he can't shoot, and he's a negative offensive player, and so like maybe they should have moved on from Draymond before they moved on from Kuminga, but we'll see. It's early. It's only one game, and Kuminga's not going to do this every night. But I just find it like the Hawks have desperately needed this exact type of player for like since basically Gallinari weirdly enough and Sadiq Bey, like the last two like big forwards who consistently were able to take advantage of their size and finish at the rim. Not to say Jalen doesn't do that, but Kuminga is a little different.
Yeah, there were a couple times tonight where he's catching a pass on the wing with his defender kind of shifted into a gap. And he would just make that instant move off the catch, and it was like kind of breathtaking to see that, like, because as soon as he got that initial seam, like it was kind of done from there. Like you might be able to help and stop him at the rim, but that was it. And then the pleasing thing, and he might have overdone it a couple of times, but the pleasing thing was that if the defense did rotate and try to meet him at the rim, like he was making the kick out passes to the corners and not really forcing the issue, when those kick out passes were there. And I think that was something that Quinn Snyder was happy about afterward.
He probably has the best first step on the team, like without question. Like just the explosiveness from zero to the rim. Like he's probably the fastest player on the team, and like these are gaps that no other Hawks basketball players been able to take advantage of consistently all year. Except again Jalen, but Jalen has the ball in his hands so much it's a little
And
bit
Jalen
different.
just that's not really part of his game. Like he likes to analyze,
True.
read it a little bit. Like he's a good point 5 player, but like no, this is like a point 1. Like he's not making it that read that quickly. I don't think the way that Kuminga was.
And like I want to say like when Jalen was playing next to Trey, he would.
Yeah.
I think I just think more the role that Jalen is in now, that opportunity just isn't there for him to attack off the catch like this. Whereas Kaminga is going to be in this exact role. Like this is his role. Like
Yep.
and I think everybody knows it. I think it's going to help. You know, it really helps that they have somebody like CJ McCollum even on the team as well to kind of, you know, be that focal, quote unquote, focal point of the offense to take that pressure off of Kaminga. Because you probably don't want him to be like the guy, but as a play finisher, I really think he's going to help this Hawks team because play finishing for like the last month or so has been disastrous for this team. Like they have not been able to finish layups at the rim. They have not been able to dunk the ball, and they are not getting to the free throw line. So, like, I really think Kuminga is going to be a nice reprieve from the problems that they've had pretty much throughout the entirety of the season.
Glenn, is there anything else we need to be saying about the Golden State to Atlanta transition?
Well, Golden State runs some different stuff offensively. They run a lot of, I mean, they create more like wide out spacing than any other team offensively. They really spread you out a lot. That's one of their focal points, and it's the way that they keep Steph kind of clean in the half court offense from being in too much traffic and all that sort of stuff. The Hawks not as much. They don't spread you out as much, but they rely on back screening on the weak side and split cuts and just intuitiveness to kind of see where the defense is overplaying and taking advantage of the extra space you have to create a shot for someone. And I thought Kuminga was doing that tonight. I thought he made good decisions with the basketball in his hands. But I don't know. If we're talking about a Venn diagram, it's like a 50% overlap of what they run. But like, Golden State plays on the edges of the floor, like offensively, a lot. They really pull you out, try to create space in the middle of the floor to attack seams. The Hawks don't do that to the same level, but they lean into motion a lot more than Golden State does. So that's that to me. That's the acclamation. But I mean, to have game one be against a really young team who really doesn't know what they're doing defensively at this point in time was, I think, a good sandbox for game one.
Yeah. They get the same sandbox for game 2. If you were I guess let me start that over again. In his post game remarks tonight, Quinn alluded to the fact that maybe Jalen Johnson's injury wasn't serious, that he was, he was going to have some tests and such, but he definitely used that phrase, not serious. And so I don't know how it's going to go, but let's assume that Jalen does not play Thursday. Would you keep Kuminga aligned in his bench role where he might also still have some sort of minutes restriction, or would you try to mix him in with the starters? Like how would you go about trying to figure out minutes at the 4 for this next game? What do you think,
I
Tyler?
mean,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Tyler. Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't particularly care about if he starts or not. I guess the reason to keep him on the bench is that it felt like Risa Shea had a more defined role on the second unit playing alongside Kuminga. Well, I mean, you could still have those two on the floor together for the majority of the time anyway, even if Kuminga's starting. So I don't think it. I'm not sure it's going to matter too much. I would guess Mo Gay just starts based on what what Quinn likes to do, but we'll see. And I don't know. It's hard to read sometimes what Quinn's going to do, but I just feel like typically he just goes with Mo Gay for to keep the lineups that he wants to stay together with long past the Jalen Johnson injury going. But we'll see on Thursday.
Yeah, I was telling tonight that third quarter Mo started with that group. So
And
Yeah, I
like
mean,
Mo
yeah, go
and
ahead.
Yucca got great chemistry, so it's probably something else. Like solidify the defense. You have McCollum out there for more offensive juice. That probably makes a little bit more sense than trying out a new guy in Kuminga with his starters.
Yeah, I think that they probably want to keep Kuminga in the role that they anticipated that he would have this week. So, like you said, I think Moge is probably going to start again, right? As he did in the second half. He didn't obviously start the game, but
Yep, makes sense.
any other observations from this Washington game?
I mean, zoom out, like these are the games they have to win to make progress in the standings. So don't know the severity of Jalen's hip, you know, but if they should be able to sit him on Thursday and win the game without him, in my opinion, to make sure that he can play the games against the tougher teams, the tougher matchups, the harder parts of the schedule. Schedule's relatively soft about the next 10 games or so.
It's also
It's
about to thin out in terms of the number of games. Like it's not going to be very compressed. Like they have like Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday next week or something where it's really spread out.
Yeah, agreed. So I mean, I feel like they should be a lot of the games that are on the schedule, the next 10, 12, whatever that number is, they should be able to win those without a good number of them without Jalen. Um, i- and but understand where the games where they would need Jalen's offensive, initiation and prioritization, and just be very strategic about what they're going to do. But again, none of us know. I don't know if it's a grade three thing or grade two. We don't have any information on that, so I don't know how hard it is.
Yeah. Did you make anything about the ending of the game? It felt like it got kind of sloppy there when the deep bench lineups came in.
I mean, not really. Uh, I, I, I thought it was, I thought they did fine, but the Wizards were also making the three they took. Maybe there were some defensive breakdowns, but I wasn't. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kevin. I wasn't paying too much attention to what was happening after the game basically ended in the fourth quarter. So I um one thing I am curious to see what's going on is like Ricochet has not been consistent with his free throws, and like I do hope this new role that he's in, he takes some pressure off of him because I feel pressure off of himself because I do feel like that's a big issue with his game. Like he plays so wound up sometimes, and I think it hurts him his on court production. So hopefully, again, I do think Kuminga should take a lot of pressure off of him as a basketball player, and he'll just be able to attack in his way while Kuminga is kind of that battering ram for him. So I thought those two had pretty nice good chemistry with each other. So hopefully they can keep that uh, going forward.
Yeah, Zach was like very aggressive, like not afraid of fouling in any sort of way. Like anytime he was like near a ball, he was like reaching, like he he was super physical in a reachy kind of I'm going to try to get the ball from you sort of way. And so, he was getting fouls at a rapid rate, but he was also playing like very, very physically, very, in a very agile kind of way. Like it did seem like he was very amped up in this game. I think one thing that's interesting to note, like if we get to see the end of Hawks practices and the ends of the shoot arounds and things like that, and what happens after practice, like, for the better part of 2 years, like it was always Zachary Rizache with assistant coach Ryan Schmidt. Like that was like it was just always them. Like that was the guy that Zachary always worked with. And it seems like the last week or so that's sort of changed a little bit. He's been working with Jeff Watkinson some, so it's just, just a notable switch in his routines. And also Dyson, like I think they've brought in like a shooting consultant. Like after all the practices, before the games, like he's constantly getting work on his shooting form, trying to get feedback. They were showing him videos on like a big board on the side of the gym. Like you can see some of the things happening after practice. But I thought since we were talking about Reza Shea, that was a notable switch for him.
It was a rough one for Zach tonight offensively.
What's
You know,
that?
it was a rough
Oh,
one for Zach tonight offensively. I thought defensively he worked hard on to rebound the basketball. I still think there's a lot of good defensive stuff that fans don't see, and it's okay if we don't watch the game the same way. It's totally fine. I'm not judging anyone for, not being as analytical or whatever it might be, but I still think he offers a lot of defensive value for sure. But man, just I think this adjustment to playing on the second unit, playing off the bench, finding a way to manage rhythm is I think there's gonna be an adjustment period for him to kind of figure out how to do that.
how much of it, like when you say that it was a rough one for him on offense, like how much of it was missing shots versus how much of it was everything else?
I mean, so it's interesting. So there's kind of a little stratification to the way I watched his offensive game tonight. Quinn wants you to take open shots. Zach was doing that, right? Zach didn't look in rhythm. He looks like he's struggling to adjust to a different kind of flow and things like that. But for me, I don't know. I feel like he's still so young, and this is a big adjustment for him to handle playing off the bench. That I think having some grace with him is fine. Now, Fox fans want to be like, "Boo, Glenn," whatever, fine. Like I'm not going to get into an argument over social media or whatever, but I still think there's so much defensive value he brings. But I mean, offensively, I mean, he got to the rim for 3 or 4 times tonight. That was good. The Pelicans defense didn't have a lot to keep the Hawks off the rim, so it wasn't like, there was some kind of magical thing kind of going on there. He missed a lot of jump shots, but I want to give him, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 games and see if he can kind of figure out how to come in the game, find some rhythm, contribute offensively. But these last 2 games have been on the rougher side offensively for him for sure. But I think it kind of makes sense.
What did you think about Reza Shea's offense?
I don't know. I thought it was good to me. He was making some good passes to Kuminga. Like again, I thought he was just making the simple play to Kuminga, and Kuminga was finishing possessions. I just thought he was missing open shots, which is a you know pretty consistent issue. He's an inconsistent jump shooter, and like he's also missing his free throws. Like very bizarre, but uh overall, I thought he was fine. Though. Like I didn't really think he was struggling too much more than what he has throughout the season, which is just the reality of the situation that he's in. Like he doesn't have a developed offensive game, so when he's not making shots, he's not really providing too much value. Though I thought he was pretty good in transition tonight, but the Wizards are kind of a mess, so not much to take away from there. But like until he either becomes a better more consistent jump shooter, he's just going to be liable to have nights like this where it just where you know again I thought he was fine, but like it's just like it's the way he misses jump shots is so bizarre because it just feels like he has 8 different jump shots and he can't like figure out one. And a lot of his issues with jump shooting, I think, are tied with his issues as a driver. Like I think that's the bigger issue. And if we want to be critical, it's just like he doesn't know how to consistently get downhill and attack a closeout. And so he's speeding up his release unnecessarily when there are driving lanes for him if he's attacking properly, but he's not reading, you know, the foot that the defender is leading with and attacking off of that. Like it's more of like he pre-plans he's going to shoot it before the defender's there, or because he doesn't trust his handle. So until that gets better, he plays with more balance. He's just going to have nights like this where the jumper just looks a mess. So it's to me it's not it's similar to a lot of players of his archetype, but I think I still believe in him. But it's just again, I do hope he takes pressure off of himself offensively And I combined with like hopefully he can get some more confidence and getting a rhythm playing alongside somebody like Kuminga.
I I do like the fact that they're playing him in these bench units with better defensive players because it
Yeah,
just makes his defense matter that much more. It's not, well, you're out there with three bad defenders. You're good defenders, so we're going to involve everybody else and you can just go stand over here on the side and your defense doesn't matter. Like now his defense has so much more relevance because there's not a hole to pick on.
yeah.
I also like that I also like that the Hawks sent Asa Newell down to College Park. Like tonight, even with Jalen Johnson, well, I guess I don't think they were going to do it any differently, even if Jalen had stayed healthy. But like they played Kuminga at the four consistently. They didn't play him at the three or the five. And so if you're going to do that, and you've got Mo as a third power forward, and you're probably going to go to Mo before Asa, then send Asa down to get his playing time, let him get his repetitions. Like I think that's valuable for him. They had no real use for Asa here, even once Jalen got hurt. So, uh, if Mo's your third power forward and Koloko is your emergency center, like go get Asa the reps in College Park while you can get them.
Agreed. He needs to play a lot. He needs to go somewhere he can play a lot, and that's not going to happen with the Hawks. There's the injury situation context. If Jalen's going to miss a week or two, they might need Asa as a third power forward, maybe something like that. But he needs to go somewhere he can play and be featured offensively with this. He has a wonderful offensive skill set for a rookie. There's growth we've talked about he needs to achieve on defense. But that's the right place for him from a developmental perspective for sure.
Anything else you want to add before we tap out of this
I
topic?
mean, it was interesting to see Trey's reaction to the video tribute and after the game. I know that you guys have to kind of scurry off pretty quickly sometimes, not knowing how fast the post game stuff's gonna happen. But it was nice to see
I
him
know
get.
the answer to that. It's going to happen slowly.
Yeah, I know. But it was nice to see like literally everyone, coaches and players, hugged him, acknowledged him, all that sort of stuff. So, and then he looked fairly emotional when the video tribute was playing, which I think says a lot about how he feels about the city and the fan base and his time there. So that was just, I thought that was a really kind of meaningful moment, hopefully for everybody. You know,
All right. Anything else, Tyler? Did I miss anything?
No, other than the Pelicans and the Bucks keep winning, so we can do. But other than
the
that,
the ping pong balls will do what they do.
yeah. But I, you know, this is a good opportunity overall for the Hawks to get back above 500. I just looked at their schedule; it's pretty soft overall in these next couple games. So hopefully they can get above 500 a little bit, and then we can see where they can go as a team. But uh, good, it's good. Been a good week of basketball. Hopefully they can continue it on Thursday.
Yeah, as Onyeka was leaving the locker room tonight, to no one in particular, he's just like, I played 21 minutes tonight. I feel great. And he ducked out the side door. So yeah, any more of these, if they can go the next week or two and get Onyeka some more of these 21-minute nights, I think it would serve them well for what lies ahead of them in April.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, he played heavy minutes before they got Jock. And Jock was good again tonight. Again, Washington had really played one center in this game, I think, for the most part. So it was like there's a lot of resistance stuff like that. But I guess competition level being what it is, you have to have that context and think about that. But in these games where they can swing more minutes to Jock and let Onyeka, not play as heavy when you get into March, that's going to be meaningful for Onyeka to have more fuel in tank.
All right, then. Thank you for staying up late to get this done after a slow post. And I guess we'll say goodnight, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
All right, Bob.